Hello. We're live again. It's Wednesday.
Is it?
I think it's Wednesday. So.
They're all the same these days.
That's true. We're all stuck in lockdown, so Mondays, Tuesdays, I don't know. What's the weekend?
Friday, I'm in love. Let's quote The Cure while we're at it.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, that is true. So how are we all doing tonight?
Good.
Glad to be here.
Yes. This is my first Waffler Wednesday. I'm very excited.
I'm really looking forward to tonight. This is something that I think all of us, I've just shared loads of our sort of Disney passion about on the podcast, and generally it's the stuff on the podcast that doesn't fit into a show, which is what the whole purpose of these Waffle Wednesdays is. So we've got an hour to talk about things that we just love.
Yeah, the clock is ticking already. So shall we say hello to a few people we've got in the comments?
No.
No. Okay, so we've got Peter and Jill.
Hi, Peter and Jill.
Got Mickey Scousers. Oh, we've also got John.
John,
you're here.
John's
here, that's good.
I couldn't do that while the intro was going, you see.
That's impressive stuff. Multitasking, John. You're improving.
He's everywhere. He's here, there, and everywhere.
Hey.
Hi. Hi, Joe.
Yay.
Hi, Joe.
Okay, so cool. I think that's it. Everyone so far in the comments. So
no, suddenly loads of people come in.
There we go.
Hi.
Hi, Neil. You all right, mate?
We've got Valerie.
Catherine.
We'll sing Valerie.
We got Dan.
We got
Becca.
We got Dan.
There we are.
Hi, Becca.
Cool. Got loads of people.
Yeah.
Obviously, this topic is an exciting one.
Well, yeah. So it's one I think we decided a little while ago whether to put it in the podcast or whether to sort of talk about it in a sort of different way. But I don't know. It is a very good one. So tonight we're going to be talking about the extinct attractions at Magic Kingdom. So all the stuff that has disappeared, that isn't there at the minute or hasn't been there for a while, we get to sort of share our favourites. So who wants to go first? Go on then, Sammy.
No, I was pointing at you.
Oh, you're pointing at me. Okay.
I thought you were like,
Okay. No, me. Okay.
I was pointing
Why
at you.
don't we start right at the very beginning and let go for that bit that's missing and has been missing since probably Mr. Health and Safety person decided it wasn't a great idea to have the welcome show just right the other side of the tap styles as you're coming in, where everybody congregated, no matter how hot it was on an August morning. And I've got to admit, I really missed that.
Me too. Aww. That was the best. It was just such a good way to kick it off without, having already seen the magic, because that reveal is a big reveal for some people. And I think that the trolley show or whatever it is you call that. What do you call it? Someone tell me.
That rope drop show.
Yeah, the rope drop show or whatever. I think that was like a good setup to kind of walk in to Magic Kingdom.
I agree, and I think
you when you get there, it's the first thing you see when you first at Magic Kingdom. Because we're up early because of jet lag and everything. So when you're there, it's that first bit of just Disney magic.
And it feels like the characters, they want you to come into the park. It's like they're here. It's rather than us going, we're here. They're going, they're here. It's great. Come and join us. Have fun. They've been waiting for us they've been waiting for me to arrive.
Just rolling out the red carpet for you, Claire.
Yeah, but it does feel like that. It feels like, you know what, we've been sitting here waiting for you lot. Where have you been? Come in and have some fun. That was the best thing about it. It was and there was not a dry eye in the place. When you turn around, there's kids looking excited. There's dads bawling. It didn't matter. Everyone was in the same place, and I miss it so much.
It's just not the same with the welcome show now, is it? It's just not. It's not the same.
Now they moved it to the castle. It's nice because you get to go in and explore. But then it's like you're still congregating down, ready to go. Everyone's going right to Fantasyland to get on Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. They've just moved it from the front of the park to the castle, and it's not. It just doesn't have the same sort of reveal.
And I think as well. I think one of the things that they possibly looked at was, is the crowds coming in for the start of the day, but actually I would say that's lessened probably over time, ever since you got the chance to select your fast passes and you can come in later in the day, rather than people like me who in the old fast pass days would be right in there for and it was brilliant. It was just you were stood there, and it was one of those moments when you got particularly if you're staying in an air conditioned hotel room or a villa, and you turn up and you realise you take the camera out the bag, and it's like it's camera fog. And so you spent the first 5 minutes just as the train's coming into the station, trying to get your camera to a temperature that could actually cope with it without the condensation instantaneously.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'd love for them to bring it back, but
there's no way. There's no
especially
way
with COVID and everything at the minute, it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
but
unfortunately,
it's rope drop, isn't it? It's something that we always look forward to, regardless of what park we're at. But especially Magic Kingdom, it was extra special, just having the train going in. So
yeah, certainly was.
Yeah,
certainly was.
So who else have we got in the comments? Have we missed? We've got Sophie.
Hey, Sophie.
Hey, Sophie.
Got Wendy.
Wendy. Nice to see you, Wendy.
There was someone called Mark further up as well. Yeah.
Got Mark.
Come on, Mark. Yeah.
And I'm sure there was someone else we missed earlier on as well. And
I'm sorry if we missed you.
I can't scroll up that far, but if it is, I do apologise. We are desperately. We wanted to make sure that we mention everybody who comes and joins us, who's watching us and listening to us. And I hope that what we do tonight just sort of resonates with you, because it's like I say, this is where do we go next? Because this is where we get to the emotional bit, because it's all the things that you love from your very first trip, and there's things that I think all of us want to talk about. And
yeah, are you gonna go first, or will I go?
Go on, Sammy. Tell us how much you impressed us in our planning show, as you were adamant. You were adamant about a show that you saw as a kid, and I've got to say,
and no one remembered it.
Yeah.
We all scoffed and scorned.
Yeah.
So when I was 6 years old, 1998, I went to Magic Kingdom. Yeah, 1998. Exactly. How does that make you feel, guys?
You were 6.
I was 6.
I'm saying,
dear.
In fact, Ben, I think Claire and I just need to let's just move.
Move us
We need to go off the side.
Thanks, John.
6 years old, 98. And I remembered a show full of puppets, and it was full of Lion King puppets, and it was called Legend of the Lion King. And I remember this show so vividly because obviously who's not a big Lion King fan? Like literally everyone. But I didn't actually know, as Claire had mentioned, that it also went to Disneyland Paris and was it Tokyo, you said?
I think Tokyo as well, yeah.
Yes.
And it was the same one as well.
Yeah, so I remember it at Disneyland Paris really clearly. Yeah. Probably early 2000, maybe 99, something like that. And it was in the Videopolis Theatre. So I really remember it there very clearly. And I just did not believe you. But you were right. So I apologise that I
forgive you.
We apologise to anyone that we're making feel old.
Yeah, I sincerely apologise that I'm not young, but I am young at the same time.
Yeah.
Younger than us.
You put it out there already. I mean, calculate this out.
I've been quite lucky looking into all of this because our first trip to Walt Disney World was in 2013. So when we looked through sort of what was there before, we've missed an awful lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
And a lot has changed since then as well.
A lot has changed.
I think you're right. I think attractions are fairly transient actually when you look at the bigger picture. And my first trip was in 1990. So
were you 6?
Yes.
Slow blow.
I'll just say yes and leave it there.
Just not.
Yeah. So what happened prior to 1990 for me is I'm a bit oblivious to that. But actually, when you start looking back, you go, oh, okay, so that was there for actually quite a long time. I caught the tail end of it rather than in its heyday or at the beginning. So it's quite interesting when you start looking back at what's been and gone.
I'd be interested to know if anyone in the comments remembers Legend of the Lion King or had seen it, just to make me feel less crazy. But at least it's been confirmed that it was there, but I'm curious if anyone else...
Sammy, it was definitely there. I think as well, and I think this is...
Thanks, Becca, for that.
Love it.
I wasn't going to mention it.
I'm not going there. I'm not... I think one of the things as well, and I think this is where you get the opportunity to look at some of the things that had disappeared by the time I'd first gone, and yourself, Claire. And you look at Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. You look at the fact that there's so many nods still in the park back to all of those amazing sort of opening dates of opening year. It's, I don't know. I think we could go on about that for the whole show, but there's rides, and I think this is my biggest thing in actually thinking about it. Magic Kingdom, more than many of the parks, has actually just evolved. It has tweaked it, because when you look at sort of the rides that were there at the opening, which were all sponsored by different people, and then the sponsor fell out with or couldn't afford to go and continue their sponsorship, and so then I'm thinking now where Delta Dreamflight sort of took over, and it also becomes sort of part and parcel of that early days where they were dependent upon sponsorship to ensure that each of the parks, well, certainly Magic Kingdom, became quite a lucrative sort of bubble of advertising, if one.
Yeah, of course. It's like the Coke products now. They're everywhere. You can't turn a corner in Magic Kingdom without seeing a Coke sign. But
and I think that's there's so many bits in there. And I think we probably do a disservice to a lot of people if they're expecting us to just tick off a list every single time that we've said, we're going to talk about this. I hope Ben's not gone for the rest of the show.
So he's got all the tech stuff. So Ben's camera's run out of battery, I think, probably.
It must be.
We'll carry on without him. It's okay. We can do this.
Chad coming up next.
He's back.
I have to say, just looking in the chat, there's quite a lot of love coming in for Mr. Toad, and it is something that's on my list of things to mention, because as you're right, John, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride was an opening day attraction. But did you know there was actually 2 different ride experiences on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride? Because I didn't, and I've rode it because it didn't go away till 1998, weirdly. And it was replaced obviously by Winnie the Pooh. And I think the track system's probably is the same without that weird, thing that happens in Winnie the Pooh where you go through the sort of mind-blowing drug-induced moments where I think it freaks me out a little bit. But the Mr. Toad's Wild Ride was made with plywood sets to make it look like multiplane camera sets, which is really clever. And it had 2 separate ride systems, which had 2 different ride experiences. They had 2 different storylines. So you could actually have 2 completely different rides as you were going around Mr. Toad. A bit like the Great Movie Ride, which we will come on to in a future show, because hopefully we're going to talk about extinct attractions in all of the parks.
Yes, today is Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, and I think I've seen in the chat people talking about attractions in other parks, and we will get to them.
We're not ignoring you. We're taking note.
This is the start of something that I think I love. I love the whole history of the whole of Walt Disney World, and I think tonight just dipping a toe into what magic was really there, and admittedly what was there that actually wasn't very good, and they actually they have to replace and they have to move on. And I think I'm big enough and old enough to realize that that whole thing about sort of the parks reinventing themselves, I have to get over that, because I'm very much down the history route, and I would love to, and we'll probably revisit that when we talk about it. But there comes a time, doesn't there? And I think it'd be quite laughable if any of us were looking in the history of aviation and then going through the same ride, which is now Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin. It's not the same.
Totally, and I think that's what makes it exciting, and that's what keeps us coming back, because it's always changing and evolving, and there's always something new. Do you know what I mean? And that just makes it even more exciting when you go back.
So Delta Dream Flight, obviously, as you're referring to it, John, was literally that, wasn't it? It was a travel through the history of aviation.
Yeah.
From biplanes through to the Delta jet engine. Who knew that was a thing? I suppose in the 80s it was exciting.
In a kind of strange kind of way.
I'm surprised it was in the Magic Kingdom. I would have thought that would maybe it's sort of thing that might sit better in Epcot, but
yeah.
I'm now back.
You're back.
It was fixed on a different camera. So.
That's all good when it happens live, Ben.
Yeah.
I really like the live show when the tech guy has gone down.
Yeah. Once he's pressing the buttons.
Yeah. But do you know what? We kept going. We were consummate professionals, and no one even noticed you were gone.
And we all know we got something for the blooper show next.
Nothing to worry about.
Don't worry, guys.
So Jill mentioned in the comments Tiki Room under new management.
Really?
Yes. So I love the Tiki Room. It's one of my favourite attractions to go and air conditioning. Let's just say that. But wait,
Ben, have you ridden it?
What do you think of the Tiki Rooms, Ben?
It's something we've not yet done. So yeah.
There.
It's on the list for October.
Just getting that out there. Ben's never been inside.
I just had to get that out there because I was getting slagged for not going to the pavilions.
So Tiki Rooms under new management was from 98 to 2011 and was compared by Iago and Zazu. So interesting additions to the traditional show, and they changed some of the songs. So they had Iago had a little solo number, Friend Like Iago, to the tune of Friend Like Me. And they also did a montage of In the Still of the Night and the Tiki 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 Room in a hip-hop version. So how about that for some 90s fabulousness?
Wow.
I saw it.
Claire.
It wasn't good.
Claire,
but
the Tiki Rooms under any management is still not worth the air conditioning.
Don't say it. Don't you be dissing Jose.
Tiki or Hall of Presidents? Which one if I need air conditioning?
Tiki Rooms every time.
100%.
Yeah. Which one if you just need a nap?
I would love
Hall of Presidents.
American Adventure
every time. But can you imagine sitting in probably the late 60s, right? You can imagine the planning meeting for creating this entertainment sort of festival, probably even earlier in the late 60s. What drugs were they guys taking? Just
I don't know.
How much of a trip were they actually on? And that's every single time I come out of the Tiki Room, I'm just like,
what? I love the Tiki
I love
Room.
it.
And I love the totems going in the background and the drums and I love it. I sing along all the way through.
But I did the one that's there now, and I enjoyed it. It's fun.
Not done it, but I know the song. It's one of those things. Just when you listen to sort of Disney playlists, it's on there somewhere.
So who else? What are people? Mark, you've mentioned the Skyway.
Oh yeah,
the precursor to our current hanging basket transportation affair.
Even that looks dangerous.
That looks terrifying, not gonna lie.
It was. I did it.
But the thing is,
you did it.
Yeah, I've done it.
People could chuck stuff out at you if you're walking in the parks underneath.
There was nothing to keep you. I mean, it was like a bucket you were sat in.
Yeah. It's
wow.
Yeah. Even the most sort of ridiculous of seaside towns, of which I live in one, who had a similar gondola style Skyliner. I think they got rid of it before Disney did, actually. because someone sued them. But I've got to say, one of the things about the Skyliner, which was absolutely amazing, were actually the little Skyliner stations.
The Skyway stations,
and before it was actually demolished to incorporate sort of the tangled toilets, the building at the back of there was just as part of if it was part of a park, and you knew what it used to be.
Yeah, the Swiss Chalet building.
Beautiful.
It was brilliant, wasn't it? And then the
architecture.
The other station is, if you go to Tomorrowland, the restrooms right next to Space Mountain.
Yeah.
You know, the ones when you're looking at Space Mountain, they're on the right-hand side.
And
the station was on top of there. It was on the second floor up there.
But it seems out of place now they put that stage, the stage where they do
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never understood it though, because you could walk quicker to Fantasyland than going and getting on the Skyway. It just doesn't make any sense. Is it a mode of transportation? I think it was just meant as a nice aerial view. And I think I think I've mentioned before, I don't really like heights, and I don't think this attraction helped in any way, shape, or form.
That's where it comes from, Claire.
It may well have been. It traumatized me when I was there, when I was 6.
There's some back in the 60s. They do a similar thing to the Skyway at Busch Gardens that they still have.
Yeah,
it's like open air bucket type scenario.
Bucket of doom.
Yeah.
we call the Skyliner the hanging baskets. I think that this really is. It was a bucket of doom, and it was doomed. It went away in. I've got it written down here. 1999. It went away, but it was an opening day attraction.
Yeah.
What one that I wish I'd have been able to experience that I didn't was that Joe just mentioned, is the extraterrestrial alien encounter.
Extraterrestrial.
Yeah, that one.
I did that, and I did its precursor, Mission to Mars, and that scarred me for life as well.
No.
Yeah.
There's a lot of scarring in your early Disney years.
Yeah, but it wasn't this. You're talking Michael Eisner element.
Yeah.
I think it was Eisner who actually decided that you need to draw a line here. We need to make this a little bit more family friendly. And it actually, that's when it went dark, and then I think it reinvented itself as Stitch's Great Escape. It was proper scary.
I'm gutted I never got to do it.
You would have loved it. You'd have loved it. So Mission to Mars was 75 to 93, and then Extraterrestrial was 94 to 2003.
Yeah.
And then it became Stitch's Great Escape. And interestingly, the Extraterrestrial, it's actually extraterrestrial, terror in big capital letters. A bit like, a little play on words. Not a very good one, but it was there. It actually had a warning outside saying it wasn't suitable for children under 12, which I think in the Magic Kingdom's a bit of a challenge, maybe.
It's a bit unusual, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But it was the same setup as Stitch. So it was that round theatre. You had a couple of pre-shows, and then you had the round theatre thing where the seats individually and they vibrate, and you extraterrestrial. You got the breath of the alien on the back of your neck.
It was,
and it wasn't nice, and it spat some sort of bodily fluid in your face.
It was highly unpleasant.
Some non-confirmed fluid.
Oh no!
Literally, it was.
Do you know? Yeah, it's giving me heebies thinking back. Sophie's in the chat, and Sophie's saying, she was there with Stitch's attraction. Remember, was Stitch's Great Escape, and actually Stitch, the way that they actually did the ride, they didn't just totally leave that whole sort of terror element behind.
No.
Yeah, had a Disney character in it, but it was still very dark and still very, very scary for a lot of people.
And loud.
I think that's the thing, because the rooms it was really, really dark, and those seats, they like vibrate and they pulse, and you're meant to feel uncomfortable. And when it was Mission to Mars, they used to bounce up and down because it was like trying to simulate G-force, and there was a screen on the floor, a screen on the ceiling, so you felt like you were in space. Maybe that was a precursor to the Space 220 restaurant that will eventually one day become Space 330, because it'll take that long to open. But it was that kind of approach. So there was it was a screened digital screen, or not digital screen, but to make you think you were in space. And so those seats would bounce up and down as it was taking off. Okay. And then obviously it became extraterrestrial, and it was meant to be like the alien running past you and your seat would move. And it's, for me, it's like Bug's Life when the creepy crawlies come along the seat at the end. It's terrifying. Yeah. And then you got something breathing on the back of your neck. No.
Well,
no, thank you.
To be fair, like
we did Stitch once. We did Stitch once, and it was during a Christmas party, and it was like doing it once, never again.
Yeah.
Yeah, not at all.
I just it was quite. Hey Dan.
Hey Dan.
Hiya Dan.
Stitch's Great Escape. I'm quite glad that's gone, but not as glad as Extraterrestrial.
What do you think? Do we know what they're putting in there? I know this is a bit off topic.
Who knows?
Let's move on and look back in time. Because I'm not just the time goes by so quick. I'm going to suggest where we go next, and it's a bit where I think at a time and a place, Mickey's Toontown was just the most exquisite place to go.
Amazing.
Just have a chill out and just enjoy Magic Kingdom in the eyes of even if you're a grown up, you just felt as if you were just taken back to your childhood and stuff. It was amazing. It really was. It was just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place.
And the detail in those buildings was just so clever in terms of the way in which they organised the heights of things, so you felt like you were in a cartoon. You felt like you were the same height as Mickey, or maybe if you're my sort of height, you are the same height as Mickey and Minnie. But the way in which it was put together was so clever. I remember Minnie's house really clearly, with her toaster in her kitchen, and it was so good. It was so good.
It was. Do you know something, Claire? And I think this is one of the things that I've thought about as we sort of come to talk about this. It was fabulous. For us, it was amazing because we had young kids at the time, and so you actually felt compelled to go in there. I'm still wondering, maybe that sort of area and what it's actually become, and that whole sort of reinvention of that area within Magic Kingdom was very, very clever, because it was very much if you had young kids. And I'm thinking sort of probably under
8. Yeah.
I remember going when I was 6.
Yeah. How did I know that was coming?
In 98.
Yeah.
But Jeremy's just said, Jez has just said Starland. Yeah, it was Mickey's birthday land, then it was Mickey's Starland, and then it was Mickey's Toontown Fair, and now obviously, as we know, it's been taken over by the Storybook Circus area.
Yeah, and then it's basically sort of been sort of squeezed into the Fantasyland expansion, and to keep the sort of the Goofini ride was a masterstroke, because it was a cracking ride for kids, and also it allowed that whole theme, and particularly with Dumbo. And if you remember back in the day when Dumbo was just sort of a nightmare to try and queue up for, it was just like massive, until they brought in the dual Dumbo part.
Yeah, double the capacity and then put the play area.
And I just thought, it was genius. And as much as we lament its passing, I think what they actually did with that area is they actually really maxed it up. And I'll say again, I know you like talking about toilets as well, Claire, but the way that the actual theming all the way down to the train station, including the toilet block in front of the train station, which I can only say for the mail block, has got a railway theme in the male part of it. I don't know what the female bit is, obviously. But but they thought of everything, and that's really where I think for a lot of us, I know we talked in our last podcast about so that whole the hidden details, and we've talked about a lot of the magical parts of it, but they've gone to the nth degree. And if you're going to take something out of a park and replace it, I think they've done really well. And like I say, I like my history, but I think they've actually plus what was into town.
Yeah, we'd never done it, so I didn't actually know where it was in Magic Kingdom.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was good, and I think what's there now is a good upgrade for modern families. But I do miss it. I do miss having the opportunity. Hi, Michelle. Nice to have you here.
Hi, Michelle.
Let's keep going through Fantasyland because I want to keep going up the road a little bit and getting to the place where Sammy saw the Legend of the Lion King show, because I think probably after that, Sammy. When did you go? When were you 6?
1998.
Okay, no, so before that, I'm afraid, probably when I was 6.
Yeah.
I saw Magic Journeys in that very same theatre, which was an amazing 3D film, which had previously been in the Imagination Pavilion in Epcot and was absolutely cast out astray because of Captain EO coming on the scene. But Magic Journeys was a 3D film when it's looked at the world from the eyes of a child. And you started by running. I remember it really clearly because the kids were running through a field with like dandelions and flowers and stuff. And eventually you were on a kite and in the sky. You eventually came back to the field at the end. And it had the most amazing Sherman Brothers soundtrack. So the pre-show had a song called Making Memories, which is... you can all go and look it up. We can't play it for you, unfortunately, but you can go and look it up. It's very catchy. And then the Magic Journeys song itself is like this amazing 1970s bop. It's so cool. So yeah, I like listening to the Sherman stuff in my brain. So yeah, Magic Journeys was fantastic. So that was in where Mickey's PhilharMagic is now.
Oh, okay.
And that theatre has been used for lots of different things, but obviously it's a big screen 3D theatre, 4D sometimes if you're in the right seat. So.
It's one of those things that's probably quite easy for them to sort of change because there's not much they have to probably do to it.
Yeah, a bit of a paint job and then change the film and you're okay. Yeah. We've had some more friends join us, Ben. Just having a quick look.
Oh yeah, we have.
Hi, Connor.
Who have we got? Hi, Connor.
So we got Connor.
We've got Lisa. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Nice to have you with us. And I think we said hello to Michelle on the way past. And obviously, Jez has slipped in somewhere along that.
Yeah,
hey, Jez.
Went undercover somewhere.
Can I have a little sort of tweak back to I think something we spoke about sort of a couple of shows about, and it was about collectibles and things. And I think it's quite a nice little nod to things that are actually really new that are going away. And so I've got to say I'm gutted that Sorcerers of Magic Kingdom is going. And Sorcerers was just the most amazing show that you just go in, you don't have to buy anything. You basically just get your cards, you go and play, you dip in and out of it, you get your maps. You've got a collection, but it's gone. And they've decided, time's moved on. And just while I was trying to find just different photos to put into the show, and we came across something that sort of came. I actually think it was probably 18 months to 2 years long, and it was something called Pin Quest, and it went across all 4 parks. It cost you an absolute fortune in pins, but we found a guy outside. I think it was we were in a queue one day, and he had this lanyard on, and it had all these different pins, and I just thought that is the most fantastic thing. And it was basically going in each park, looking for clues in different stores, and you basically then once you got the clue, it allowed you to buy a pin. How clever is that?
That's very cool. I didn't even know that existed. And Sorcerers is not something we ever did. And I'm quite sad we didn't, because we went lots of times and we could have probably had, the certainly Morgan and maybe Mills would have enjoyed that. But PinQuest, I've never even heard of.
Was based around, I think you had to buy maps, and you bought the map, and then once you solved the clues on the map, you went back in, you got the pin, but you had to buy a starter pin, and you then had to buy the pin that rounded it all off to show that you were the mega pin collector.
I think you got 8 pins, but it was in total about $80.
Oh yeah,
which, to be honest, is probably not. No, not like Source.
Now.
Yeah, not like Sorcerer's the Magic Kingdom.
No. Yeah. When I saw you put PinQuest in the list of things to talk about, John, I thought you'd mistyped and you were talking about Disney Quest.
Disney Quest.
Yeah, that's a whole other story.
Right.
We could do a whole show on Disney Quest.
PinQuest is really bizarre because it was such a quiet introduction.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether cast members truly believed in it, and I'd love to go and do a little bit more research personally and just try and see why they chose to cut it, because actually from a Disney perspective it was costing people money to do it, so either it wasn't popular or they just decided that we don't fancy that, and then Sorcerers came very quickly afterwards. And so I don't know. I'd need to go and find out a lot more about it.
I think you're right. I don't think there was enough uptake on it. But I think it came out as a trial that not many people knew about.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing a lot of vlogs and so people try it, but it was like you go to a cast member, here's my map, and they go, well, what's this about? I don't think everyone knew about it, so it wasn't being pushed heavily.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's probably a good thing that it's not around because you can save some money and buy the pins you want.
Do we know why Sorcerers is leaving?
No.
It's something.
Your answer, no.
A lot of the screens are broken or in a few of them are in disrepair. And I'm just wondering whether they don't want to. It's a free
they
thing.
Don't want to spend the money on it. Yeah.
In this time as well, though, a lot of Sorcerers, it's a lot of touchscreen stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's then how you just sort of closing it down in a way of protecting, and it is people gathering in front of it, and so. It might well be that in the future we get a reinvigorated version of it, but as the moment, it's down as one of those that have closed.
I liked the ones you could collect at the special edition ones from the Halloween party and Christmas parties.
Yeah,
they were always quite good to collect.
Yeah, Claire picked them up for me a couple of years ago as well. Thank you very much.
I did. Yeah,
appreciate it.
And there's one more thing that I had on my list to talk about before we talk about.
Parades.
I think there's a few things left at the end that we need to touch on. And that was something that when we went in 1990 and I was 6, I just want to say I wasn't much older than 6. It's not like I was 20. I believed this absolutely 100% was real. I totally was on board with this, and I mean that. There is no question in my mind that I was 20,000 leagues under the sea. We were going dive, and going to the bottom of that sea. When you sat in the middle of that tiny little submarine that you had climbed into, and you sat on that little bench in the middle, looking out of the porthole that was about this big, it was like that.
Yeah.
And all you could see were the bubbles.
Yeah.
We were going down. I was like, what is going on? I was totally immersed in that. And I thought it was incredible. When we went back a couple of years later and we went on it, I was a little older and I looked out of the porthole and looked up and saw the surface and the plastic lines that the octopus was hanging on and stuff. I became slightly less impressed. However, the first time I went, do you know what? It was incredible. I remember climbing in and you had to really look at where you were walking and then wait to get out. It would never happen now. Health and safety would never allow you to have a ride vehicle like that now.
Yeah.
That's an ongoing theme with an awful lot of Magic Kingdom sort of boat rides that they had, sort of particularly in the sort of 70s into the 80s. They were a health and safety nightmare. They really were.
Did they not still have it at Disneyland though?
No,
it's just
Disneyland Paris has a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea walkthrough attraction, which is nothing like the Walt Disney World one.
No.
And Disneyland in California have something, but I can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought in California they had one where you go into the wee submarine and it does its wee loop and.
they still got that? I can't.
Yeah, I think it's now themed to Nemo.
Yes, I think it might be.
I think it's themed
Finding
to
Nemo rather than Captain Nemo.
Yes.
I suppose it saves on signage, doesn't it? Economizing on signage.
Altogether.
You talk about ride vehicles, John. What about things like the canoes and the keel boats and stuff, where you would board them by the? Sammy, did you ever know that they had actual canoes that you could go around the rivers of America? So where you've got like the big old paddle steamer on its track, and then you've got the raft that goes between Frontierland and Tom Sawyer Island. You could actually, just a bit closer to where the exit of Big Thunder is now, you could board a keel boat or like a 20-person canoe and paddle your way back.
That sounds very dangerous.
It didn't last that long, but it's like exercise and entertainment all at the same time.
Brilliant. Get people moving.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Right. Should we move on?
I've got one to bring up actually. That, finished in. It started in 2016, and it was the Muppets.
I was going to say, do we need to stand up the loot and all that sort of malarkey? It's just sing the whole American anthem.
Yeah, the Muppets was it great moments in history, American, but just the American parts.
That's right. Thank you, Sam Eagle.
It was really good. I thought it was really good. The Muppets are underused in a lot of Disney parks. Hollywood Studios, you get Muppet Vision 3D, but it's one of those things. It's a nice sort of, possibly now because of COVID, that it probably won't make a return.
It was really cool, and it was one of those shows. I think there's 2 or 3 of them around Disney World where I didn't want to open my mouth because I felt slightly ashamed to be British at that point, because a lot of them are framed around, colonial times, because that's the time period of Liberty Square, and it's like, don't speak.
Yeah, I don't know why, because
I know
we're probably the ones who would actually give it more credence than many others,
But it was really cool, though. Very, very funny.
It really was.
Yeah. The only problem was there was zero shade when you were watching it. So if you caught like the 1 o'clock show in the middle of the summer, you're just pouring with sweat. You just couldn't move. But it was good.
Yeah.
And I think as well, and I think this is where the Muppets could go and just sort of take the whole of the politics out of the Hall of Presidents, couldn't they? Let's just go and make it. Let
Sam Eagle narrate it. It would have been fantastic.
Old stuff in Hall of Presidents, but put them Muppets in there and see if anyone notices the difference between our friend Donald, etc.
Controversial.
Just a tad.
It's the same in
this. I agree.
But we're talking controversial.
Yeah.
Should we talk cabanas in Tomorrowland?
Oh yeah. Well, the ones that lasted a week, 2 weeks.
I think, maybe. I don't know if anyone in the comments ever saw them forked out for one. I can't imagine any of our friends.
Was it $700?
It was obscene. For what? A shed?
With a fridge.
Not even a shed. Didn't even have sides, I don't think.
It's just non-starter altogether. And it's just like, it was like Disney. You can imagine that the planning meeting for that is like, we've wrung some money out of people at all the water parks. We've managed a way at some of the resorts where they can have a private cabana. Let's try it in a park. It's bound to be a winner.
Someone will pay for it.
Why Tomorrowland?
And where in Tomorrowland were they?
So if you'd done like a little thatched roof somewhere near the Jungle Cruise, that might have worked because you little secluded spot near. But in Tomorrowland,
I think they were near the Tomorrowland Speedway.
Oh, that'd be
sort of
nice.
Between there.
Who's going to want to do that with that smell? You won't be able to breathe.
Fumes. You'd leave at the end of the day. You'd be like when you've had a bonfire outside. You'd be like that. Stink of Speedway.
And also, it's like the noise pollution from it as well, though, isn't it?
Imagine having a conversation with someone. What did you say? Say that again.
Yeah. I don't get it, because you had to pay for your ticket to get into the park, so you could go and do what you want. But then it was $700 for the cabana, which will give you food and drink. But I don't get it.
I'll just go get some nuggets, thanks.
Oh, Lisa's saying they were over by the Tomorrowland bathrooms. Even better.
Between the bathrooms and the speedway.
There are some things that have gone, and we are all pleased.
The railway track at the back of that.
Yeah, perfect.
It just comes round on that sort of circle as well into chance. I'm aware of time, guys.
I know, it's slipping away.
I'm going to move us on. I'm deliberately going to move us on because I'm going to have a rant.
Okay, here he goes. Stay
comfortable.
I've been waiting all day for this. And I'm going to talk about the criminality, because it's the only way I can describe it, of the way that Magic Kingdom's very own nighttime parade was completely taken away from all of us. And if you've never seen it, go and get it on YouTube. It was a thing of absolute complete beauty. And it was the music, if nothing else, was just incredible. And Spectro Magic to this day should still be in Magic Kingdom. And I've not seen it now for 10.
Since you were 6.
Yeah. We got the names of podcasts and all that. So, yeah, since we were 6. There you go. That's the name of the show tonight. But Spectrum Magic was beautiful. It absolutely
was amazing.
And it kicked the pants off anything else you would ever see as a nighttime parade. And yet we're there left with no parade of a nighttime in Magic Kingdom, and haven't done for a number of years now, ever since the electrical parade left us. But Spectro was
Spectro was amazing, and the music was outstanding.
I've never seen a nighttime parade.
Oh, I missed it.
I never got to see one. I know.
They're really good. Well, we saw Main Street Electrical Parade on our first trip, and it was good. It's going back, looking at YouTube videos of Spectrum Magic, it was completely different. It was so much better.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of love for Main Street Electrical Parade, but it just wasn't as good, in my opinion. But then
I've never felt that love of the Main Street Electrical Parade, and I think it was 2014. I was stood next to a guy from, I think it was Chicago, and he had a carer with him who was English. And this was a grown-up, highly autistic fella, probably sort of late 20s, and his love for the Main Street Electrical Parade that night. And I was trying to video it, and I was, when he was talking and sharing his love for the parade, and you could get really napped by it. And I just turned the video off, and it just, my heart absolutely melted, because there was somebody next to us sharing with my kids who were much younger. Just sharing his complete love for the fact that Goofy was riding the first float, and he was just like, he was so excited. It was something that everybody, if you ever get the chance of just absorbing, it shows you why we all love Disney. It really was. And that was one night where you just sort of, put the camera aside, put the video aside.
Just enjoy it.
It was absolutely, it taught me an awful lot of life lessons in a way. And certainly for me, it's just like, this is, he was such good fun to be around. He really was. And it's one of the parades that you'll always remember. But it again goes back to what a nighttime parade was all about. It wasn't always about the parade. It was the people that you met.
Who'd hung around and stood in, through the rain earlier in the day, and they'd had, they scouted out their spot quite early in the day. They're coming in the afternoon, going, right, where are we going to stand? Yeah. And I agree with you. I think the nighttime parades, the light, because in my experiences in Orlando, it suddenly goes dark. 1 minute it's daytime, and then you go into a shop and you come out and it's like, hang on a minute, it's nighttime. When did that happen? I was only in there 5 minutes, and like that's sort of 6:30. Suddenly, boom, it's black.
And just for a bit of clarity, because I know people people are not going to sort of stick with me if I keep ranting about Spectrum in every single show that we do. But it's the whole fact that, you know, Disney had this promotion in summer 2010 where they would do Summer Night-tastic, bring back the Main Street Electrical Parade. They did a special version of the fireworks, which we'll come back to in a second. But they still had Spectrum Magic on site, and they put Spectrum Magic basically just under tarps in the car park. And it basically just got eaten.
Rotted, didn't it? Destroyed.
Yeah. By what, you know, if anything made of wood in Florida is going to get eaten. It was just so wrong. It really was.
It's the biggest letdown I ever had was seeing all the floats backstage on our Keys tour, being told categorically it was coming back into Electard the same year that it was gone forever.
I know. We had that. We saw.
And I think sent Neil on exact. I sent Neil on that mission to find out when it was coming back. I think, and to make members very aware that, you know, there was a massive love for Spectrum, and I think at the time when it wasn't replaced, and then Main Street Electrical Parade went away back to California. It was a case there wasn't the money to spend on a brand new nighttime parade, and I think that's I certainly have missed it. But do
you think we'll get one back? Do you think there'll be one back in Orlando? I think there will eventually.
I think there'll be a few cavalcades. I think they might do a few cavalcades they've got in a minute that I think are. Yeah. I think these restrictions are going to might last a bit longer than we want.
Yeah.
So I think actually some of these cavalcades might be a better thing because, like you said, Claire, a lot of people are sort of staking a spot at 2, 3, 4 o'clock for like 8, 9, 10 o'clock parade. So that's not going to happen. So having a cavalcade that could run through the day and the night would be quite good.
But you know, in 2-3 years' time, hopefully, you know, they might have an evening parade in Magic Kingdom. You know, actually paint the night. I'm on board with that.
Paint the night looks awesome.
Yeah.
So, has anyone seen Magic Happens in Disneyland? Any videos of it?
I've watched some videos.
It's a nice daytime parade, but at night it just comes alive. It's completely different. I think they'll do something similar.
And I think that's what we were talking about last week, wasn't it? When we were saying that actually it depends the time of day that you experience things. You get a different view, different feel. Whether that be going into Pandora or watching a parade, you know, the cavalcades that we can see during the day might be different in the evening and create a different feeling. So I think you're right. Hopefully, keep everything crossed.
As we're talking about the evening,
I was going to say before we get to the evening, though.
Okay,
we're actually missing some of them. I need a shout out for the Celebrate a Dream Come True parade.
Yes. Oh my goodness!
I know. Festival of Fantasy, I'll live in the
sorry.
But actually, that was the one parade, and the first time I saw it, I really hated it. And do you know something? It grew and grew on me until the very last time that we actually managed to see it. And I've got to say, it's just like, even the music to it, again, is something that just sort of wells me up.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, it's just one of them.
I love the Celebrate a Dream Come True parade.
Yeah,
and I think you have parades that you remember like that, and parades that kind of pass you by. And Festival of Fantasy is great. I'm kind of done with it now, though. We need.
Yeah, I think I must admit.
I don't think it's been there that long.
It hasn't.
Longer than you. Well, it's longer than you think. I think it's like 2015.
Yeah, I think 14, 15 or something. What I was also thinking the last time we actually saw it, it was absolutely chucking it down with rain. And it was as if Michael Schumacher was actually driving the parade. It went that fast. And every single time trying to get through a Florida storm. But with typical Disney fashion, it was like, right, we've done the parade. We're going to happen. It's going to happen.
We're not dancing. We're just going through.
Just going through.
When you get the rainy day cavalcade, that's amazing when you get that. Because actually, do you know what? I would not want to have to clean those costumes afterwards.
No way. No.
Dry them out. It makes me think, actually, there's Sully will be stood there somewhere with a hairdryer.
Yeah. I'll tell you as well, talking about Mickey, and I know we'll run out of time, but hey, we're going to...
Might run over a little.
But one thing I think everybody needs to remind themselves of is Mickey used to talk to you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how old you are, to actually go and experience Mickey talking to you in Magic Kingdom, it kind of reduced it to that kind of gibbering sort of, I don't know, it was technology at its absolute finest.
Do you know what? I'm going to play the video.
Yeah, play the clip.
Go on, Ben.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you, Mickey.
Have a great day now.
Hey, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye. Bye. See you real soon.
Oh, it's just so magical, isn't it?
That's just brilliant. Really
we never saw Talking Mickey, and I'm kind of sad about that.
Do you know, I was lucky because the kids were of an age where you could actually set it up with them. And we did have just that most amazing time. And again, going back to sort of things that we were sort of getting Mickey to sign, really stupid things. I got some amazing pictures of him signing sort of animations and stuff. But the time that you were afforded was second to none. You know, it really was, and it was, you know, it was magical. It really, it really was.
It was like, it's great seeing Mickey anyway, but then it just elevates it. It's just like, it just feels real.
It's a very personal experience, wasn't it?
Yeah, completely.
Right, grand finale.
Yeah.
Evening spectacular. Hang on.
A mascara warning for anyone who's wearing makeup tonight. This is, do you know what? This is the thing that it does not matter how many times I watched it, and then watch videos of it. Yeah. Wishes will always make me cry.
Yeah,
always. It's just so emotional and magical. And Ben, I know you're a massive fan of Happily Ever After, but it's just not a patch on Wishes for me. I think it's about your experience.
It's Celebrate the Magic for me. It was the best part I found of when it led into Wishes. It was a transition from having that, and you know when there's a parade on afterwards or before that you've gone there, and it's like you're waiting on Main Street, and it's like you hear Celebrate the Magic, you watch it, the projection show, and then you just hear Wishes, and it's their first part, and it's just it is good. But
the lights go down, and
it's the whole thing.
I never caught Wishes. I'm so sad. I never got to see it. Sammy,
it just is the greatest thing I've ever seen, and it's something even now. And it's, as Claire said, and it got to there's the part in it where Jiminy Cricket goes, "It's the Blue Fairy," and from that moment until the end, I'm gone every time. And I think Neil was in the chat before, and he's probably playing sort of a game with his family as to the first time I mentioned emotional attachment tonight. But that's all it is. It's just that complete emotional bit of totally. I don't know.
It gets you in the gut. It's not even it's a feeling, not a thought, isn't it? One of those
even thinking of it now makes you just, it takes you back.
It's completely inside you, and I can't not feel happy, but also really emotional when I think about it.
And it wasn't the castle being full of sort of different sort of animations that were going on.
No, not at all.
It wasn't the amount of fireworks. It was everything. It was the music. It was it was that coming together as a family, as a Disney family in front of the castle, and Jiminy Cricket's narration was just beautiful. But
as I say, the audio over the top of all of it just was the icing on the cake, and you couldn't. I remember watching it from the dessert party in Tomorrowland Terrace, and just like, wow. Millie slept through it all the way. She was a baby in her pushchair, and she missed the whole thing. I keep telling her, "You saw that?" And she was like, "Mummy, I've never seen it." I was like, "No, you're asleep, darling." But you were there.
It's strange. Even for my kids though, you know, and they were much younger because we're talking about we were robbed of wishes. I'll add that to the list. You know, not just the Spectre of Magic, but they actually announced wishes were going away very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And probably learnt the lesson from that, because the T-shirt I'm wearing, I had to call in a few favors to manage to get that, because it was a matter. It was
weird, wasn't it? It was there and then it was gone.
Weeks, and then they realised we could have done a closing season, which they then realised they can sell merch on the back of. Which they did for the great movie ride and stuff like that.
We were just very lucky that we were there in May 2017, so we got to see The Last Wishes, and then we saw Happily Ever After the day after.
Yeah.
But we saw it from Top of the World Lounge for.
I think I'd still be recovering now if I saw The Last Wishes.
Yeah.
But But we did the dessert party, but we were in the terrace, the Plaza Gardens.
Yeah.
I'm actually glad that The Last Wishes I ever saw, and didn't know that it was going to be my last one.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I think if I'd have known, and I watched an awful lot that night. When it was the last night, I watched it being streamed live, and it really did. It really got to me even then. But to be in the park and actually watch it for one final time, I don't know.
Take a wee bit.
Don't know if I could recover from that.
Sorry, I have this No Wishes, No World Showcase. Are you sure it was Walt Disney World you went to? Just want to give a quick shout out to Mark.
Hi, Mark. It's nice to have you in.
And Jeff and Angela.
Oh, Jeff and Angela as well.
Yeah.
You also had Charlie was in as well earlier on as well.
I say we've been chatting away so much that I think we probably missed quite a lot in the comments and things that people.
We apologise that we didn't get back.
Yeah, all the memories you've been pouring out into the chat, and we've completely ignored. We haven't. We've been reading it.
We have been reading it. I've been reading them anyway.
I just think that Joe mentions the Kiss Goodnight. Now that is something that I haven't ever seen.
Oh, it's lovely.
That's something I've seen that you haven't.
It's just because we've always had kids with us, so staying. I mean, now the park's closed at like 8 o'clock. It's probably fine, but I do intend on doing that one day, and I think that
it is really special, and it's one of those ones that it kind of creeps up on you. I think as kids get older, and you actually extend your park days into rather than early mornings. Yeah. You then stay in later and later at night, and then the kids think it's really special that you're actually there beyond
staying up late.
Yeah, and it does wreck the following day. I hasten to.
I think we've stayed late at Halloween party.
Beautiful.
The last Halloween party we did, we stayed late, and that was the first Halloween party where there wasn't Hallowishes, which was amazing. I think that was probably. Yeah. It was as good as normal wishes, standard wishes, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
but I think it was different. I don't know if I could say it was better, but it was just so clever and really beautiful, and very emotive, but in a different way. And I loved Hallowishes. It just
and similar to Holiday Wishes.
Yeah, beautiful,
absolutely amazing to watch. But I still go back to the original score from Wishes, and see so many, just be around so many people who are just like in tears.
I know.
Just the raw emotion of it.
From the morning to the night, we cry. You got the welcome show and the rope drop show where you bawl your eyes out, and you finish the day watching Wishes. There's just no chance. There's no point in wearing makeup if you're a woman, because you spend the whole day with mascara down your cheeks.
The next time we get back to Walt Disney World, we'll be crying all the time we get there.
Just like you're going to say the next time we go, I'll make sure not to wear mascara.
Is that your top tip?
Yeah.
So the biggest highlight of tonight, I think, is this. Sammy was 6 in 1998.
Yeah.
So you're gonna make Claire mad at me?
Yeah.
No, not at all. I just I definitely wasn't a lot older than that when I went for the first time. I was a little older, but not a huge amount.
Wow. Just me staying to Magic Kingdom to 1 or 2 a.m.
No extra cost. Yeah, you can pay through the nose for that.
It was though, and I think that's another thing, Valerie, to bring into the mix. You know, we used to have these extended park hours. That, you know, how on earth they managed to pay cast members, and I dread to think how many cast members were on a rota to, you know, for 12-hour days probably. It was
Especially when they did those 24-hour one night special nights as well.
Yeah, they did a couple of them, didn't they?
Shame we missed out on some of those.
They did one in leap year, didn't they?
Yeah.
That was fun.
Sorry, Lisa.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think time is getting on. We've gone a tad over time, but
that's not like us.
No, not at all.
Not as Wafflers.
But what a great start to this. Extinct attractions.
Do people want us to do the other parks is what I want to know, or have you had enough of us talking about things that are no longer there?
I don't know. We spend a lot of time in Epcot and Hollywood Studios.
Animal Kingdom.
I tell you what,
Animal Kingdom
will come back
a bit, but
I think Animal Kingdom's a little bit of a sleeping giant on this as well. I think we'll be quite surprised.
Well,
yeah, I think you're probably right.
If our friends want us to, we can do the others.
Yeah,
it'd be good to hear from you.
Let us know.
Yeah, put in the comments or just send us a message on social media. I didn't realise how many attractions that I hadn't experienced, whether it's sort of parades, shows, especially like the Tiki Room that I haven't yet done, which I know will be on the list for our next trip. So before we go to we just want to give a few mentions out to some of our friends in the Disney community. So at the minute, you will find Mickey Scousers. Just find their banner here on their YouTube channel. So they go live every Wednesday night at 9 p.m.
Ooh,
so it's called
10 minutes
Mickey.
ago.
10 minutes ago. So Mickey Scouse Clubhouse is the name of their show.
Genius.
So very good. I love that name. That's brilliant. And on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. in the US.
8 p.m. tomorrow night. Can I just say it's an hour early tomorrow?
Don't worry about them. We don't know.
They're not here. They don't know. But it's 8 o'clock tomorrow night, 1 a.m. in the UK. Yay! It's not.
I've got to change my alarm ever so slightly.
I love them, but I'll be in my bed.
No, alarm at 1 a.m. I'd be fine. I'm working from home the next day, so that'd be fine. So also we are featured now on the Live Place. So I'd like to give a shout out to Dean, a place for family friendly streams. So if you're unsure what to look for, click on there and there'll be streams from Disney channels, across sort of lots of other topics as well, all family friendly. So
because we are very family friendly.
Some of us are at least. So yeah, we're here every Wednesday with a waffle about all things Disney, and next week's topic is Disney Cruise Line. So it's going to be interesting. Looking forward to that. So things are busy at the Great British Mickey Waffle, so keep in touch with us on all our socials, which are at GB Mickey Waffle. If you enjoyed the show tonight, click that like button and subscribe, and there's only one thing left to say.
Waffle
on! Waffle on!